Hi, this is Stacy Mahoy with allaboutfastpitch.com, and I just have a really quick tip for coaches, shortstops, and third basemen today. And that tip is to get rid of those tails on the ball when you're throwing to first. I would highly suggest that you try to straighten out those throws from the shortstop and from the third baseman as much as possible. Now, most third basemen and most shortstops do have a tail on their ball, and if, as a coach, you really don't think it's a big deal, try to go to first base one day during practice and catch those balls. Now, granted, most people and most first basemen can make that catch. The thing is, though, as the girls advance up to higher and higher levels of play, as the game gets quicker and quicker, those balls get more and more difficult to catch, especially as the players get stronger and stronger. A lot of times their ball will tail even more. Now, when the first baseman or the second baseman coming over for the bunt doesn't really have a lot of time to fully see the player, make their throw, see it all the way to them, and make that catch, that ball with the tail on it gets much more difficult to catch. A lot of times at higher levels of play, first baseman is still getting back to their bag, or second baseman is still coming over from their position to cover first, and they are not even looking up at the ball when that throw is made. So now they got to get to the bag, look up, pick the ball up in flight, and catch it, oftentimes with the tail on it. Now that gets to be more and more difficult, or maybe not super difficult, but definitely less than routine. So there are a couple of reasons why those positions, shortstop and third baseman, have that tail on the ball. Some are definitely worse than others. Mostly it's because of their throw. It's more of a sidearm than over the top. And I don't expect them to get way, way over the top, but they should be able to minimize that tail by throwing with less of a sidearm. Now, another reason is because a lot of times their body language or their footwork is moving them towards second base as they're trying to throw to first, instead of moving them in the direction of their target. That also will cause more body language, or whatever you want to call it, on the ball than you would like. You want that ball to go as straight as possible to the person trying to receive it. And the reason is, of course, because the easier that ball is to catch on the receiving end, the more outs you're going to make, and that's what we want on defense. And especially at the higher levels of play, there are times, like I said, when the first baseman is playing up to protect for the bunt. By the time they get back to their bag on a regularly hit ball, they're half the time not even looking when that player makes the throw. I mean, a lot of times we talk to players about picking up the eyes, making eye contact before they throw the ball, so that they're sure that the person receiving it is ready and such. But there are just some plays on defense where there's no time for that. That first baseman, that second baseman has to pick up the ball in flight and make that catch. And obviously, with the tail on the ball, that play becomes more difficult. So even outfielders throwing home, but a lot of times that's emphasized, to make good throws, or outfielders throwing into the infield, you talk about making good throws. But for the shortstops and the third baseman, obviously the first baseman, their job is to catch whatever the infielders throw at them, and most of the time they do a pretty good job at that. But I would highly encourage third basemen, shortstops, and for coaches coaching them, highly encourage them to straighten out their throw as much as possible, because even if they don't get up to those elite levels of play or get up to the collegiate level of play, they will be making throws that are easier for the first baseman and the second baseman to receive. And the easier those throws are, the more outs you're going to make, and that is the name of the game on defense, to make as many outs as possible and as little plays as you can. So, and actually all defenders should be trying to do this, but this is something that is oftentimes overlooked by the shortstop and the third baseman. Try to get them to straighten out their throws as much as they can, so that throw is easy to catch on the receiving end, and you're going to get more and more outs on defense and hopefully win more games.